Hello everybody, it's me, and welcome back to the video. Now, in this video, I decided that I wanted to rank all of the Jolly Festival, Jolly Village Loomians. And that's pretty much it. I don't really know what else to say. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do today. And I feel like when you're ranking, like, I don't know, it's weird. Because there's not much else for me to say besides, like, I'm going to be ranking all the Jolly Festival Loomians. This includes the Jolly Festival and the Jolly Village stuff as well. Also includes Lashent, because technically that's a Christmas one, because it evolves from Cradle, right? It's a little bit weird how that works. But, yeah, honestly, before we actually get into it, let me know what you guys think is actually going to be on the tier list, and what you think is going to be the worst, and what you think is going to be the best. But yeah, without further ado, let us just hop straight into it. As usual, I'm going to be having battles playing in the background, so then it's not just me staring into your soul talking the entire time. But yeah, heading straight into the D tier. There are going to be 5 tiers. This D, C, B, and A, and S. And they're actually ordered in a row. So like, if something's at the bottom of like C tier, then that means it's the worst in that specific tier, but it's better than everything inside of the D tier, right? But yeah, going straight into it, we only have one Loomian actually in the D tier, being just not a good pick to ever bring to a battle, and just generally needs help. If you go and guess what it is now, it is indeed Festifer. Now, unfortunately, like, okay, Festifer's really cool, right? And it's something that I've always really enjoyed using, but I can't deny that it is a very, very niche pick and is just generally not reliable. And if you want to use a better ice attacker, there are multiple better options. There's better regift setters now that we have like Cosmures and Fiscarna, right? They're just better options over Festifer. Though Festifer is the only regift user at the moment that I know of that gets Rejuvenate. So I guess that's a plus. But even then, Festifer has too many weaknesses and is too slow. It has good coverage and has good moves, but it is too slow to take advantage of those good moves. It's something that would like a little bit of a speed stat. Like if it had Lashent's speed stat, I feel like Festifer could honestly be really solid. But again, it's a freaking rooted tree. It's not that fast, right? It is really, it's not that quick. But yeah, that actually wraps up the D tier immediately, going straight into C tier. And now at the bottom of C tier, the worst thing in C tier, I'm going to go with Icigool. Now I know Icigool might be a little bit of a shock because it has a lot of potential. Even like it got expertise, got power jaw and stuff. And let me know if you're on the expertise or power jaw train. Me personally, I'm on the expertise train. But when we're talking about it in like a fighting sense, it's not horrible, right? You have Baffle, you have Fadeaway, you have Bane of Haste, you got Icicle Traps, you got Impersonate, which is honestly a pretty cool move. But then you realize, like, it's Icigool, right? You barely see Icigool, and there's a good reason for it. Like, its typing isn't the greatest, and it does want to have a lot of bulk. The problem with it is 100% its energy stat. It does not have the energy to use the moves that it wants to use. It wants Rejuvenate, it wants Baffle, it wants Fadeaway. All those cost a lot of energy. Even with expertise, you're going to get as like 5 moves out, and then you got to wait or rest. And with something that wants to be really bulky, you can't really do that. And mostly things that want to be bulky in walls kind of usually only have singular types, which is kind of funny when you think about it now. But yeah, let me know if you agree with the Icigool placement. And then here we're going to get into the next one. This is actually the last Loomian of C tier. We're actually going to go with, I know it's going to be a shocker, but I'm going with Cramboss. Now the reason I'm going with a Cramboss, because, okay, listen. On paper it sounds amazing, right? You get Battle Chime, right? You get your +6, you get 50% of your health gone, you drink your milkshake, you get 75% of your health back. Boom. Like, best case scenario, you have 75% of your health with +6 attack, and you outspeed everything on the enemy team. But that literally is never going to happen. It has a 95 speed stat. Everyone has some form of priority or a boots user, right? Most boots users can outspeed Cramboss because its speed stat's not fantastic. And the problem with it is it literally will not make any progress if it does not get its Battle Chime up. And that is just the truth. It is just the honest truth. It's never doing anything unless it gets Battle Chime. And yeah, people can say like, oh my god, no, I've gotten so many sweeps with it. You probably are not fighting the greatest players, right? Like, my thing with Cram Boss is you need so much to get it to work, and even then, if you get it in like the perfect scenario, it could probably sweep a game, right? But it's so hyper-specific, you have to get rid of boots users if people don't let you slap down those for free. You gotta set up your enchantments, get it against something that has no energy or is asleep. There's just too much it has to do for you to even like consider it to be like a super strong wall breaker. It is a good breaker, but I probably put it more on the late game cleaner, because I guess like you get your Battle Chime up, it could be a breaker. I don't know. I just think it's too mid. You know, it's not bad, but it's definitely pretty mid, and it's just not enough. But yeah, that actually wraps up the C tier, and here we go into the B tier. The bottom of B tier, which is actually the most stacked tier we have. The bottom is going to be Celesting, actually. Now, funnily enough, Celesting had actually won one tournament, placed top 2 in another, I think, and then top 8 in another tournament. Pretty sure that's what I was told. But yeah, Celesting is honestly pretty nice. It has the light metal typing, but then you remember another thing has a light metal typing, being Valkyrie. So trying to use Celesting offensively won't really work out that well, because Valkyrie already does it much, much better. So let's look at its utility. You got barbs, right? You got like barbs, icicle traps, barter, you know. I feel like Celesting does have quite a bit going for it in terms of its utility, and it's a pretty good support unit. Yeah, look, you got like barbs, deja vu, icicle trap, tear down as well to get rid of screens, which could be very annoying. And yeah, then you got barter, you have flash and flee. It's honestly not terrible. Like, I know that there was a boot set that's being used to beat Glissadia's, and because Celesting's typing does really well into Glissadia, it's able to hinder it pretty well because they can just switch in, flash and flee, and has a ridiculous health stat of 125. And honestly, Celesting is not that bad, right? But it's just like, it's kind of mediocre in terms of like when you compare it to other stuff like Valkyrie. Like offensively, it's not doing that much damage because it doesn't have Magnify. If it got Magnify, I'd probably put it a bit higher, just because it'd be able to do damage. But utility wise, it's not terrible. Double traps, you have pivot, you have barter, which can ruin some walls that try to wall you, like Cleone. It's honestly not terrible. But yeah, that will be the first of B tier. We're moving on to the second thing of B tier, and we're going with Lashent. Now, I can't lie, I don't know that much about Lashent. I really do not know that much. It is something that is recent, and I haven't seen many people talking about it. But I know it had like a move like Raging Flame or something that it didn't have before. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, Lashent is not... It has a pretty cool typing where it's a plant type that isn't... It's a dark type that is immune to light. So it's able to actually switch in on pivoting moves on flash and flee and stuff, and is able to do pretty well. It actually has a pretty decent speed stat. It's got slap down, I'm pretty sure it has slap down, right? It's got photosynthesis, so it can heal. It's got a good ability in Watcher. You got Gloomy and Ambush. All of its abilities are really, really strong. You can get a super strong... Well, Gloomy is the Fog one, right? That'll be better once Charonix gets its Fog ability. Yeah, Watcher is solid because if you underspeed something, you're going to do some ridiculous damage. Ambush is always great because if they switch out, you're going to do some good damage too. So, like, if you switch out on Lashent, you're probably going to be taking a lot of damage on something, right? Because when you switch out, Watcher will still activate because I think it technically means that they went first because they switched. But yeah, 64 speed is not awful. It doesn't have the worst defenses either. Like 88 melee defense and 74 range defense is not bad in terms of LL. Then 96 health on top of it. It actually doesn't have the worst bulk. And it's got Slap Down, you got Briar Block, you got Provoke, you got Brawn Boost to do some crazy damage, you know? Then you got Icicle Trap as well, which can be really funny on this thing. And yeah, you also have fadeaway options. You can hypnotize things. And yeah, it's honestly just, it's got some stuff going for it. And I think what just makes it a little bit better than the Celesting is just because I feel like it could accomplish a bit more, you know, because it can get rid of items, it can set up traps, it can pivot, you know, it has those options over Celesting, right? And it can also be a very threatening attacker with Brawn Boost sets. But yeah, I think this is a fair placing for Lashent. And then in the middle of B tier, right, like the most I think this will be maybe a controversial decision, but I'm honestly going to go with Holobunch in the middle of B tier. Now, I enjoy using Holobunch. It's one of my favorite attackers to use. I just enjoy light types in general, and I feel like this placement is not it's not too biased. I don't think it's that biased, because you can't deny that Holobunch can do some damage, right? Holobunch can nuke, and it's going to do a lot, especially once the energy rework comes out. Like, you get your passive energy regain, the global stat buff. Holobunch is going to be eaten pretty once the PvP rework comes, and then you get all your increases in, like, your energy, you know, very hyper comes out. It's honestly, Holobunch should be really great. And it has solid coverage options. You have Nova Blast, you have Luster Loot, you got Nature's Force, you got Life Drain, you have Spectral Burst, you have Ferroblast. It has a lot going for it, and it just feels really underrated. The only reason it's not higher is because of its middling speed stat. What is it, like 39? It's not quick enough to abuse the fact that it has a really, really good really good ability, right? Crazy high defenses, but it doesn't have too much health, so it can easily get one shot. Though it could pretty much live any one hit because of, like, its crazy defensive stats, right? It can live any one hit, and it also has Summon, which can be really funny. And yeah, the Ferroblast option is cool, and it has Pivot as well and Flash and Flee. You can set up with Peace of Mind, but I don't think you really need Peace of Mind. Maybe once the energy buff and very hyper stuff comes out, then I would definitely consider trying out Peace of Mind sets. But yeah, that's where I'm going to put Holobunch, in the middle of B tier. But yeah, hopefully I've been remembering to show them the tiers. But yeah, and then the second best of B tier, we are actually going to have something that I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about. It's going to be Tundralin. Now, Tundralin is definitely something that can do its job really well as a melee wall. It has resilience, like 130 freaking defense, body crash, right? All that seems really great. But then, as of recent, like, with the introduction of a Miraith, it is a spirit metal type that can attack on both sides of the spectrum. So you run Metal Blast, you take it down, and it doesn't have any super effective move to threaten the Miraith. But even then, it's still able to do, like, the work that you want it to do, right? It's still to be a very effective melee wall, and it's just really great. And the one problem is that I just don't think you're going to be using that often over Obsidian, because Obsidian is just a little bit better as a resilience body crash user. And I think when Tundralin first came out, it was definitely very threatening and terrifying to fight. But nowadays, I feel like it can still be very scary when you fight it, because they could just hard wall your entire team if they're like a bunch of melee attackers, and it's just really good into melee attackers in general. But I feel like it's just like slightly underwhelming at times. But yeah, and then getting into the next one, we're going to have the final one of B tier being Barbadger, actually. Barbadger's a pretty surprising one, because yes, on paper it seems like it could nuke, right? Like, you get your Dauntless, Rogue Assault, Ice Hammer, Clay Slap and stuff. The problem that I have with it is its speed stat, right? You're pretty much at all times forced to use boots or have a bunch of enchantments up for it to be a super threatening presence. And on top of that, it has a lot of weaknesses. Being an ice and brawler type, you're weak to, like, metal, fire, mind. Can't really think of any others. Brawler, right? Spirit. You just have those weaknesses that aren't the greatest trying to fight. Even then, I still feel like it's pretty solid, which is why I'm putting it at the top of B tier. I just don't think it's good enough to be in A tier, you know? The other things coming in A tier, I think, do deserve the spot. But yeah, I do think Barbadger's pretty good. Very solid offensive mon. And now here we actually going to be starting in A tier. You see B tier on screen, hopefully, if I remembered. And now here we have the worst thing in A tier is actually going to be Wobelisk. Now, Wobelisk was really, really strong when it had, like, driving force and stuff. And Barb, it was really strong as an ignorant user, right? Could run Milkshake, could have Luster Loop to threaten out the spirit types that want to stay in or switch into driving force to prevent Barb stuff. It was pretty fun, but it's kind of fallen off over time as, like, just more things have been introduced into the game that can hit it a bit harder, right? Like, a lot more mixed stats have been introduced. Like, Miraith is pretty strong into it, right? Reflective, it pretty much fully walls it with the defensive sets. But Hasty's not too bad either. And I think it is still a completely fine option to use if you're looking to use a defensive ice type. They're just like, I don't know. If it's definitely like the best option for a defensive-esque ice type. And then we're actually going to have another surprising one being Wintrix up next. Wintrix is definitely a Loomian that can be very scary if not kept in check. If you don't have anything that can wall Wintrix, then it's going to just mow through your entire team. But I definitely think with everything in the game trying to be as range defensive as possible because of like Glissadia and stuff, it's definitely not the greatest. Like, since Glissadia got introduced, Wintrix has definitely not been the best offensive ice type. But it's still a very strong offensive ice type, don't get me wrong. If you have Barb support up, your Frostings and Jet Streams are just going to do ridiculous damage. You have pivot options with Baffle being a ridiculous move. Brain Freeze to hit like Mind types and stuff, which was nice when the initial new toy syndrome of Soulburst Metronette came out, you know? But yeah, that's Wintrix there. And now we're getting into the last two of A tier. We're going to have My Mask. Now, I think My Mask is honestly really solid. It has a really solid speed tier. Both of its abilities are great. Has a lot of options of moves that it has. You can run Slap Down. You can have Fade Away. You have, like, mixed sets and Mud Spatter and stuff. I just feel like it's great, right? You can have Facade, which can be very, very annoying and honestly really fun. I definitely want to try Facade eventually. And just overall, My Mask is just... it's great. I don't know what else to say. It's just really solid. It has a lot of utility. Has a lot of offensive utility as well. It's just solid, you know? I just don't think it's mid. I just think it's good, right? And yeah, and now for the last of A tier. This might be slightly biased, but I'm going to go with Akalos. Now, I can't deny how much I adore Akalos, right? I absolutely love Akalos. And I feel like it's not that biased toward it because Akalos can really sit in a lot of teams. The guy that freaking made the clever Akalos set, you're the best. I love it. It's great. And it's just, I love that I tried it. You know, you can also run an offensive one with Drudge and Aggressive. You could have like Drudge, Ice Hammer, Wave Wrecker, Gnarly Gash, Rogue Assault. You know, you can really switch it up. And I just love that about Akalos, that it has like a lot of offensive options, really good defensive options too. You can have Driving Force and be annoying, Brawn Boost to do some crazy damage. My personal favorite set is, you probably might see it hard walling something right now. It's like mowing through some guy's team that it's in the battles today. Brawn Boost, Soft Water, Wave Wrecker, and Driving Force is my favorite set, just because it's able to set up and be threatening. You can heal yourself, be threat to fire types, and also just like switch things out. And it's actually able to beat a Cosmeor Cracked, which was kind of cool. But yeah, that's actually going to wrap up A tier. And now, I don't know if anyone's surprised by this, but the best Jolly Festival / Jolly Village Loomian ever introduced is, you guessed it, Chienta. I don't know how to say it, but Chienta is just so good. You have Sharp Claws that boosts your attack, your contact moves by 30%. You've got Brawn Boost. You have an incredible speed stat. You can even run it defensively, which is hilarious to me. There was a defensive set that was actually shown. I don't know if someone's gonna use it, but I might showcase that soon because I think it's just really funny that Chienta can be used defensively. It can hard wall pretty much every offensive ice type and like spirit and light type. It's just funny. I really do enjoy Chienta. It has my favorite offensive coverage of Brawler and Light. Slap Ice on that to hit the plant types that want to try to, like, slap Ice on it to be able to stop Nevermare. Plus, it outspeeds Nevermare because of its incredible speed. It's just great, you know? And Chienta is just a really solid offensive mon. Very good Lake and Cleaner. Very good Wall Breaker as well. It's just great. But, yeah, with all that, that'll be wrapping up the tier list. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And if you did, leave a like and subscribe down below. It is very helpful. And let me know if you guys agree with this tier list. I'll leave it up on screen right now. Let me know if you guys agree and where you would rank your own Loomians. I will leave the tier list I used in the description down below. How I did my tier list is I just moved all the Jolly Festival Loomians into like the bottom tier and then deleted all the other tiers till I had 5 left. But yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.